Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Penang Watch Guy. Now, the reason why I love learning and collecting watches is because every brand has its story, its own mark on horology history. Ball in particular stood out to me because from the way I see it, the brand's story started from a tragedy. To those of you who don't know this, in 1891, two trains were involved in a head-on collision in Ohio, USA. Several people died, and the cause of the accident was due to one conductor's watch that ran slower by 4 minutes. This caused a mix-up in the train schedules, which eventually led to the trains colliding with each other. After the accident, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, the Ball Watch Company was born, and they were able to build reliable and precise timepieces that helped to prevent similar tragedies from reoccurring. This is my review of the Ball Engineer Tree Legend. I had pre-ordered this piece back in November of 2017 on the Ball website when it was first announced, and after a long 6-month wait, I finally had it in my hands. When I unboxed it, I was simply awestruck by the gorgeous blue dial. I mean, just take a few seconds to look at it. It's gorgeous, isn't it? I literally could not stop looking at it for the first few months, and it is still one of the things that I appreciate the most about it up till this day. The finish, in my opinion, is done superbly, and for the pre-order price I paid for it, which at the time the watch was being sold at about 4,600 Malaysian ringgit, or just about under 1,100 US dollars, it felt like a steal. And looking back, I think it was in every single way. The watch itself is 40mm in diameter and about 11.5mm thick. The next thing you would probably notice would be the indexes. Instead of being painted dots or numbers on the dial like most watch brands normally do, Ball uses microtubes that houses their trademark Tritium gas tubes that act as looms. This includes hour and minute hands as well. In a way, they kinda look like someone glued pieces of macaroni on them, but you'll learn to love them. Ball claims that they can provide extreme readability and can last for 25 years, with about 100 times more brightness than regular luminous paint. Also, one of the best things about having tritium gas tubes for looms is that they don't require any kind of charging. So, if you had a regular watch, you would probably need to take it under the sunlight for a couple minutes before the loom actually starts emitting any kind of color or light. This isn't the case with the tritium gas tubes, and that is one of the selling points of this watch. Personally though, if you ask me, I think the loom on my watch is somewhat lackluster, and the term extreme readability being used by the Ball company being a serious overstatement. I mean, I wasn't even able to light it up enough to film for this video, but there is an upside. Apparently, different colors have different brightness levels, so before you pick up your next Ball piece with the same type of loom, please check the color, or better yet, test the brightness first before you purchase it. I hear that orange and green give the best brightness. Moving on to my favorite part, we're gonna talk about the minute details on this watch. And there's a lot of them, let me tell you that. If you notice, the second hand has an RR emblem. The RR stands for the Railroad Standard, which at the time was more like the Swiss Official Testing Institute standards that we have today. You would probably know that more as COSC. To me, the emblem stands as an eternal testament and devotion that Ball has towards accuracy and high standards. It's things like these that really get me into loving watches. The next thing you would probably notice is the Cyclops Eye or date magnifier. I mean, I get the use of this, but I think considering the superb finish of the dial and the clean look of the overall watch, I personally would not have preferred that to be there. In my opinion, the bubble kind of takes away the overall look of the watch. It's kind of like a pimple that is ready to be popped. But I guess it does serve its purpose of telling you the date instantly when you glance at the watch, as it has done so for me in many occasions. I guess what they say is true. You win some and you lose some. Okay, so now that we've covered how it looks, let me try and share with you how it feels. through YouTube. Okay, I know it's gonna be hard, but I'm gonna try my best. Holding the watch in my hands, the watch feels weighted and carries some heft. This surprised me at first because this is not what I expect from a watch at the 1100 US dollar price tag or 4600 ringgit Malaysia price tag. But again, let me remind you folks watching at home that this is the pre-order price. For some reason, Ball places all of their pre-orders at 50% off retail. So that means that you can buy any of their new watches at 50% of what they would be selling them for once the time limit or pre-order window has closed. Alright, so we're gonna continue to consider this watch at the 1100 price tag because that is what you could actually get it for. At that price point, it's safe to say that most watches would feel lighter, maybe made out of a cheaper quality material, and some other factors like that. So taking into consideration all of the things that I've said about this watch so far, I think you can agree on why I said that this was such a steal. Talking about the minor details, right? Did I tell you how I absolutely love the dial? Well, guess what? I love the Caseback even more. The details and the overall look took my breath away more than once. In fact, when I was filming this watch, I definitely took more than a few 5-second breaks just to simply admire it. I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of detail here. The words read Swiss made, anti-magnetic, and Ball Watch Co. Then of course at the center you notice the train, which is again another shout out to its heritage that's connected to the railroad. So far, I do not own any watch with a caseback as beautiful as this, so I would highly recommend that you check it out in person to truly appreciate the look and feel of the Ball watch. Now, if we move on to the bracelet, I have more than a couple of issues with it. For one, as you can see, it does not have a release button. So this means that when you lock it on your wrist, you actually have to use like your little finger to go inside and pry one of the lids open to really release the watch. This is a bit annoying to me because I like to wear my watches a little tight, and so in the beginning I was kinda anxious on why there wasn't a release button, and I was afraid that I would actually break it if I had to pry it open, and then I guess that's the way it's meant to be done. So I think I would have preferred some sort of release like you would find on, let's say, a Rolex Oyster bracelet, or even on the Omega Seamaster. For those guys who own these watches, I think you understand what I'm trying to say. What I do enjoy, however, is that whenever you close the strap together, or the ends of the bracelet together, you can see the little RR emblem again. So again, this is what I meant, like what I mentioned before. Minute details on this watch, and there's plenty of them. Okay, so now it's time to cover what's inside the watch, because we definitely can't just think of the watch as a beautiful piece but not consider what's inside powering it. Anyway, the movement for the Engineer Tree Legend is a modified ETA 2892 movement, which, if you are somewhat familiar with ETA movements, you would know that this is a really popular movement that is used by many brands and is still being used up till today. But the Ball references this movement as their own R1100-01 movement, so it's basically a modified ETA 2892 movement. It beats at 8 vibrations per second, or about 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has a power reserve of 42 hours, and personally, I think the movement is great. It is reliable, it is accurate, and what's more to say, because there are higher end brands than Ball that actually use this movement as their base in their own watches. So in conclusion, the watch records time in an accurate manner, same as most watches. It uses a modified ETA movement, which at $1,100 is a pretty good deal. But if you bought this watch at its full price of $2,200, then I won't blame you if you feel tempted to look at other brands instead, especially if you don't mind getting a pre-owned watch. That's why I would highly recommend getting new ball pieces, on pre-order because they sell them at like 50% discount. So, why not? Oh, and I almost forgot. So I was about to check out with the purchase of this watch, right? And right before I actually managed to, check out and pay, I learned that I could actually pick any running number of the series. And what I mean by this is that this particular Engineer 3 Legend watch, it's limited to about 1,000 pieces. So I could actually I had the freedom to basically pick the number that I wanted. So being Asian, I picked something that had the number 8 in it. I didn't pick 888s, right? But I did pick something with an 8 in it, and it's not related to luck. It's more related to something that's personal to me. And I think this is great because a watch is not simply something that is supposed to tell time anymore these days. I mean, especially an 1100, US dollar watch. If you wanted a watch that could tell time, you could just pick like a $50 Seiko or something, right? So giving people the option to really customize their ball watch, that was just, icing on the cake for me. And they also gave me the option of adding a small message of a few words to be engraved together with the number. And guess what? They did this all for absolutely free of charge. How awesome is that? Unfortunately though, I can't really end this review without sharing with you guys something terrible that kind of happened to me when I received the watch. So I got it, and after about 1 month, my watch broke down. And what I mean by that is that the hands just simply stopped moving, even though I had it wound up. So I had to send it in for repairs, and that sucked, right? Because I had to wait 6 months for it. It cost like 1,100 US dollars or 4,600 ringgit, and I didn't enjoy the fact that I had to send it in so quickly. But what I didn't know at the time was that Ball, when they first received my watch for repair in the Malaysia Kuala Lumpur branch head office or something, they knew that this was a newly ordered watch, so they immediately put it on high priority. And I got it back within a very short period of time. Like, I was quoted maybe 2 weeks, and I got it back maybe within 7 days. So I really respected them for kind of going the extra mile to put my watch on high priority. And I felt, even though this thing happened, it sucks, and I hope that I'm the only case, right? But it felt great to know that they actually wanted me to get my watch back immediately, and they just went the extra mile. They put me on high priority by themselves without me even having to mention anything. Like, I was prepared to wait, even though I wasn't happy about it, but I was prepared for it, right? So what can we do? Yes, so kudos to Ball on that. Great service, great watch. Definitely try to get it at the pre-order price. And definitely, if you enjoy bright looms, as I've seen many other Ball pieces have amazing looms, try to check them out first before you buy the watch so that you know exactly what you're getting into. Alright, and this wraps it up. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next episode.